There's a reason why Windows failed on tablets, or Windows tablet computer type things like this. A few things. Slightly underpowered, well, ridiculously underpowered processors, not enough memory, and the fact that it always likes to do updates. This is the first time I've turned this one on, probably a month or two, and the first thing it wants to do is, install an update. It's like, okay, whatever. But one of the biggest things that fails these, and has always failed these, is shit manufacturers that sold Windows tablets with under specified screens. 1024 by 600 was common in Toshiba's, and 1280 by 768. It works, it's just a little low res. Units like this one were a lot better in a few ways. It's got a much higher resolution display, even though I use the scaling to bring it up, but it's storage space as well. See, in this one's case, it's got a 128 gig internal storage drive, as opposed to, say, 32 gig, which was common on a lot of them. You can't have Windows 10 on a machine that's got 32 gigabytes worth of storage, because once you've got Windows on it, you get a couple of updates and a couple of programs, it's already out of space. It's just not enough for it to manage itself. And the fact that they allowed it to happen, I think, is probably the biggest crime. If they'd have at least mandated that storage should be at least 64 gig, 2 gig of RAM, that sort of thing, I think it might have made a bit more sense. I don't mind Windows 10 in tablet form. I can drive it quite happily. One of the biggest reasons I like it is I can use any browser that's available to go wherever I want, and if it's doing something weird, I can install an add-on like I can on a desktop PC. Windows 10 Touch isn't too bad. Say if I so you touch on where you want to go, your keyboard comes up and off you go. Now, one of the things is the keyboard is quite inconsistent, so in certain applications it doesn't come up when you touch a text box. That, I think's a big issue, because you kind of need that. Otherwise you've got to rely on the little icon down here with the keyboard to pull that up so you can do what you need to do. So it's one of those not always there available sort of things. Touch for Windows has always been an add-on, not a feature. It's not like Android or iOS, where touch is the way to do things. So that plays into it a lot. But just the flexibility of doing things with Windows is really good. I've taken this on travels overseas, and I've actually used it to do video editing, which with NCH's video pad, I've actually used this to render videos down so I could upload them to YouTube, because I can use desktop applications. It's a bit slower to get the job done, but it gets the job done, and it does it in a familiar way that I'm used to. Where with, say, a mobile operating system like Android or iOS, you have to get your apps from their respective application stores, and it's not quite the same deal. Now, being Windows, you do have the option of using the Windows Store, which is this one here, but I find in a lot of cases I don't use the Windows Store apps on this. These are all pre-installed, so they came with Windows as it was. But if I want to use a specific app that I'm used to, I can install it on here and use it like I would on a desktop PC, just a little bit slower because you're using your fingers. Because context menus are long presses and they come up. But I actually think that if Microsoft themselves mandated that Windows on tablets had to have a minimum specification, it may very well have taken off a lot better than it has. But I think they really screwed themselves in different ways just because they allowed it to rock up on crap hardware. Otherwise, they would have been fine. But yeah, just one of those things.